Welcome to Mindful Audio, your destination for motivational and intellectual growth through the power of audiobooks. Today, we embark on a transformative journey through one of the most profound spiritual texts of our time, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. This book isn't just a guide, it's a portal to a deeper understanding of life, offering insights that challenge our conventional ways of thinking. It addresses a fundamental question: what does it mean to truly live in the present moment? In this audiobook, Tolle teaches us that the root of our suffering lies in our identification with the mind, the relentless chatter of thoughts about the past and anxieties about the future. He reminds us that peace, joy, and fulfillment are not found in material achievements or external circumstances but in the eternal now, a state of being that transcends time. At Mindful Audio, we believe in empowering you with ideas that fuel your mind and inspire your soul. As we explore the power of now, you'll discover tools and practices to break free from the cycle of overthinking, connect with the essence of who you are, and unlock a profound sense of inner peace. The introduction of the book itself sets the tone for this transformative journey. Eckhart Tolle reflects on his own experience of despair and awakening, offering a glimpse into how this powerful philosophy emerged. His message is simple yet revolutionary: the present moment is all we ever have. By fully embracing it, we align ourselves with the flow of life. So, whether you're seeking clarity, peace, or a deeper connection to the world around you, this audiobook is for you. Tune in, reflect, and let these timeless teachings resonate with your being. Join us on this enlightening path as we unravel the teachings of the power of now, one chapter at a time. This is your moment, your now. Welcome to Mindful Audio. Chapter 1. You Are Not Your Mind. Eckhart Tolle's first chapter, You Are Not Your Mind, lays the foundation for the spiritual transformation he advocates throughout The Power of Now. This chapter is a direct challenge to the conventional understanding of the mind's role in shaping identity and consciousness. Tolle begins by asserting that the mind is not the essence of who we are. While society has conditioned us to equate thinking with intelligence and identity, he argues that this identification with the mind is the root cause of suffering. The illusion of the mind as the self. Tolle explains that most individuals are unconsciously dominated by their thoughts. This habitual overthinking creates a false sense of self, known as the ego, which is entirely rooted in past experiences and future projections. The ego thrives on a narrative constructed from memory, pain, and imagined scenarios, keeping individuals trapped in an endless cycle of regret, guilt, and anxiety. By identifying with the mind, people lose touch with the true self, which exists in the present moment. The nature of thoughts and overthinking. Thoughts, according to Tolle, are compulsive, repetitive, and often unnecessary. This mental noise prevents people from accessing a deeper state of awareness. Tolle uses the metaphor of the mind as a tool, a useful instrument when utilized consciously, but detrimental when it takes control. He urges readers to become aware of their thoughts without judgment, observing them as an outsider. This act of observation, which he terms witnessing, is the first step toward liberation. Emotional pain and the pain body. Tolle introduces the concept of the pain body, a repository of emotional pain accumulated over a person's lifetime. This pain body is activated by thoughts that resonate with past traumas, creating a feedback loop between negative emotions and compulsive thinking. When individuals identify with the pain body, they perpetuate suffering. By disentangling from these thought patterns and becoming present, it is possible to break free from this cycle. Consciousness as the key to freedom. The key to escaping the tyranny of the mind lies in cultivating presence, an awareness that exists beyond thought. Tolle emphasizes that the present moment is the only reality, past and future exist solely as mental constructs. By redirecting attention to the present, individuals can access a state of peace that transcends the mind's incessant chatter. Practical techniques for disidentification. Tolle offers practical techniques for stepping out of the mind. One of these is to practice mindfulness by focusing on simple sensory experiences, such as feeling the breath or listening to sounds. These practices anchor awareness in the present moment, interrupting the mind's dominance. Additionally, he suggests asking oneself, what will my next thought be? This exercise creates a gap in the stream of thoughts, allowing for a moment of pure awareness. The power of observation. By observing the mind without becoming entangled in its narratives, individuals begin to recognize their thoughts as transient and separate from their true essence. This process of disidentification leads to a profound realization: I am not my thoughts, I am the awareness behind them. The shift to being. Tolle concludes the chapter by describing the shift from living in the mind to living in the state of being. Being is characterized by a sense of aliveness, presence, and connection with the greater whole. This state cannot be achieved through effort or intellectual understanding. It arises naturally when individuals relinquish identification with the mind and embrace the now. Chapter 2. The Way Out of Pain. In the second chapter of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle delves into the pervasive experience of emotional pain and its connection to the human mind and consciousness. He asserts that much of the suffering individuals endure is unnecessary and arises from their attachment to mental narratives and emotional residues from the past. This chapter outlines how consciousness, awareness beyond thought, serves as the pathway to freedom from this cycle of pain. The origin of emotional pain. Tolle begins by explaining that emotional pain is a natural part of the human experience, but most of it is self-inflicted and perpetuated by the mind. He distinguishes between two types of pain. Primary pain, the immediate discomfort arising from present circumstances, such as physical injury or genuine loss. Secondary pain, the psychological suffering caused by resisting or clinging to past events, replaying memories, or fearing future outcomes. Most pain, Tolle argues, stems from the mind's inability to accept what is. This resistance manifests as negative emotions, such as anger, resentment, or fear, which feed on the energy of the mind and body. The pain body, an accumulation of suffering. Tolle expands on the concept of the pain body, introduced in the previous chapter. The pain body is described as an energetic entity composed of unresolved emotional pain accumulated throughout one's life, and even inherited from collective human suffering. This pain body lies dormant within individuals until activated by external triggers. Once active, it merges with the mind, amplifying negative thought patterns and creating a self-reinforcing loop of pain. When the pain body dominates, individuals lose themselves in cycles of anger, self-pity, or victimhood. Tolle emphasizes that identifying with the pain body strengthens its hold, but recognizing its presence as an observer is the first step toward disempowering it. Consciousness as a way out. The key to escaping the pain body and breaking free from the cycle of suffering lies in consciousness, becoming aware of the present moment without judgment. Tolle explains that consciousness is the essence of who we are, beyond the mind and ego. When individuals cultivate presence, they disrupt the pain body's grip and experience a profound shift toward inner peace. Consciousness transforms pain into healing energy. Instead of resisting emotional discomfort, Tolle advises allowing it to exist without attaching a mental narrative to it. By fully feeling pain in the present moment without identifying with it, the energy dissolves. The role of the ego. Tolle explores the ego's role in perpetuating pain. The ego thrives on the past and future, drawing its sense of identity from memories of pain and projections of fear or desire. It resists the present moment because the now threatens its survival. The ego often uses pain to reinforce its narrative of separation, control, and superiority. Recognizing the ego's patterns is essential to moving beyond its limitations. Letting go of resistance. A significant portion of the chapter is devoted to the idea of resistance. Tolle explains that resistance arises whenever we reject the present moment, wishing things were different. This rejection creates inner conflict, intensifying emotional pain. By surrendering to what is, accepting the present moment as it is, resistance dissolves, and the mind becomes still. Tolle uses the analogy of a storm. Resistance is like fighting against the wind, while surrender allows one to flow with it. Surrender does not mean passivity or resignation but rather a deep acceptance of life as it unfolds. Practices for conscious awareness. To help readers cultivate consciousness, Tolle offers practical exercises. Observation: regularly observe thoughts and emotions as they arise, without labeling or judging them. Mindful breathing: focus on the breath as a means of anchoring awareness in the present. Body awareness: shift attention to the body's sensations, especially during moments of emotional intensity. Questioning the pain: when pain arises, ask, what is my relationship with this pain? Am I identifying with it? These practices train the mind to disengage from compulsive thought patterns, creating space for the presence to emerge. The transformation of suffering. Tolle concludes by discussing how consciousness not only dissolves pain but transforms it into spiritual growth. Suffering, when approached with presence, becomes a teacher. It deepens one's connection to the true self and fosters compassion for others. The energy that once fueled pain is redirected toward awakening and creativity. By embracing the now and stepping into consciousness, individuals liberate themselves from the illusion of the mind and experience life as it truly is, a state of profound peace, joy, and interconnectedness. Chapter 3. Moving deeply into the now. In Chapter 3 of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle guides readers toward deepening their experience of presence and fully embracing the present moment as the gateway to spiritual awakening. Building on the foundational concepts of disidentification from the mind and the importance of consciousness, Tolle introduces practical tools, philosophies, and insights to help individuals access a deeper connection with the now. This chapter serves as both a philosophical exposition and a practical manual, focusing on how to live more consciously and dissolve the illusions of time. The illusion of time and the eternal present. Tolle begins by addressing humanity's fixation on time, which he describes as a mental construct that undermines the ability to experience true presence. He explains that psychological time, constant dwelling on the past or projecting into the future, creates unnecessary suffering. While practical time is necessary for planning and functioning in the material world, psychological time binds individuals to the ego's illusions. The present moment, however, is eternal, it is the only reality that exists. When individuals fully embrace the now, they transcend time and align themselves with life's natural flow. Entering the now, awareness of being. To move deeply into the present, Tolle encourages readers to cultivate a state of being. Being is the essence of existence, the silent awareness underlying all thoughts and emotions. It cannot be understood intellectually but must be experienced directly. This experience requires a shift in attention away from compulsive thinking and toward the present moment. Tolle explains that this shift feels like coming home, a profound sense of peace and completeness. Observing the mind. A central practice in moving deeply into the now is learning to observe the mind without judgment. Tolle reiterates the importance of witnessing thoughts as a detached observer. By doing so, individuals create a space between themselves and their mental patterns, realizing that they are not their thoughts but the awareness observing them. This practice diminishes the mind's power and allows the deeper self to emerge. Surrender and acceptance. Tolle emphasizes the transformative power of surrender, which involves fully accepting the present moment, regardless of its circumstances. Resistance to the now, through anger, denial, or avoidance, creates inner conflict and prolongs suffering. Surrender is not passive resignation but a conscious choice to align with life's reality. When individuals accept what is, they open themselves to new possibilities and solutions that were previously obscured by resistance. The inner space of presence. Tolle introduces the concept of inner space, a state of spacious awareness that exists beyond the mind. This inner space is cultivated by quieting the mental noise and focusing on the simplicity of being. Practices like mindful breathing, feeling the inner body, and observing the silence between sounds help anchor awareness in this space. Tolle explains that the inner space of presence is the source of creativity, intuition, and connection to the universal consciousness. Dissolving the ego and the pain body. The chapter revisits the concepts of the ego and the pain body, showing how they lose their grip when individuals live in the now. The ego depends on past and future for its identity, and the pain body feeds on emotional reactivity. Presence disrupts these patterns by shifting focus to the timeless reality of the now. Over time, this dissolves the energetic charge of the pain body and diminishes the ego's influence. Anchoring in the present through the body. Tolle highlights the role of the physical body as an anchor for presence. By directing attention to bodily sensations, individuals can bypass the mind and ground themselves in the now. He describes this process as feeling the inner body, which involves becoming aware of the aliveness within every cell. This practice not only deepens presence but also fosters a sense of vitality and healing. Stillness and the power of now. The essence of moving deeply into the now lies in cultivating stillness. Tolle explains that stillness is not the absence of activity but the absence of mental noise. It is the silent awareness that underlies all experience. By embracing stillness, individuals tap into the power of now, a state of heightened consciousness where they feel deeply connected to themselves, others, and the universe. Practical exercises for presence. Tolle provides practical exercises to help readers move deeply into the now. Mindful breathing, focus on each breath as it enters and leaves the body. Feeling the inner body, shift awareness to the sensations within the body to anchor presence. Listening to silence, pay attention to the silence between sounds to cultivate stillness. Observing thoughts, watch thoughts without engaging, allowing them to pass like clouds in the sky. These practices encourage a direct experience of presence, helping readers break free from the mind's grip and embrace the timeless reality of now. Living as presence. Tolle concludes the chapter by describing how living in the now transforms every aspect of life. When individuals move deeply into presence, they experience a profound sense of peace, fulfillment, and joy that is not dependent on external circumstances. Relationships improve as they become rooted in genuine connection rather than ego-driven expectations. Challenges are approached with clarity and acceptance rather than resistance. In essence, moving deeply into the now is the key to a life of spiritual awakening and true freedom. Chapter 3. The State of Presence. In Chapter 4, The State of Presence, Eckhart Tolle explores the profound concept of presence as a state of pure consciousness, free from the mind's incessant chatter and the distortions of time. Presence, according to Tolle, is the essence of spiritual awakening and the antidote to suffering. This chapter delves into the nature of presence, its transformative power, and practical methods for embodying it in everyday life. What is presence? Tolle begins by defining presence as the awakened state of being fully aware in the present moment. It is not a concept or an idea but an experiential realization of one's true essence beyond thoughts, emotions, and external identities. Presence is a state of heightened aliveness, clarity, and peace, where the mind becomes a tool rather than the master. Unlike the ego, which is rooted in the constructs of past and future, presence exists only in the now, the eternal moment that underlies all experience. The characteristics of presence. The state of presence is marked by several key characteristics. Inner stillness, a profound sense of calm and silence, even amidst external activity. Heightened awareness, an acute sensitivity to the world without the distortion of judgment or labels. Freedom from the ego, a detachment from the stories and identities constructed by the mind. Connection to universal consciousness, a sense of oneness with life and the universe. Tolle explains that presence is not something to be achieved, it is already within everyone, waiting to be uncovered by shedding layers of mental noise. The challenges of entering presence. One of the central challenges in accessing the state of presence is the mind's resistance. The ego, which thrives on identification with thoughts and emotions, perceives presence as a threat to its existence. It distracts individuals with compulsive thinking, emotional reactivity, and an obsession with time. To overcome these barriers, Tolle encourages readers to observe the mind without becoming entangled in its narratives. This practice creates a gap between awareness and thought, allowing presence to emerge. The power of presence in daily life. Tolle emphasizes that presence is not reserved for moments of meditation or solitude, it is meant to be integrated into every aspect of life. When individuals act from a state of presence, their actions are infused with clarity, purpose, and love. Relationships are transformed as they become rooted in genuine connection rather than ego-driven conflicts. Even mundane activities, such as walking or washing dishes, become sacred when approached with full awareness. The transformative power of presence. The state of presence has a transformative effect on both the individual and their surroundings. Tolle explains that presence dissolves fear, anger, and other negative emotions by exposing them as illusions created by the mind. It also heals the pain body by bringing the light of consciousness to unresolved emotional wounds. Over time, living in presence fosters a deep sense of peace and joy that is independent of external circumstances. Practical methods for cultivating presence. Tolle provides several practical techniques to help readers access and sustain the state of presence. Mindful breathing, focus on the breath as a way to anchor awareness in the now. Body awareness, direct attention to the sensations within the body, cultivating a connection to the inner energy field. Observation of thoughts, watch the mind's activity without identifying with it, creating a gap for presence to arise. Silence and stillness, embrace moments of quiet to deepen the connection to being. Acceptance of the present moment, fully accept each moment as it is, without resistance or judgment. These practices help individuals break free from the grip of the mind and experience the aliveness of presence in every moment. Living as presence. The ultimate goal of Tolle's teachings in this chapter is to help individuals embody presence as their natural state of being. Living as presence means approaching life with an open heart, free from fear and attachment. It is a state of flow where actions arise effortlessly, guided by intuition and the wisdom of the now. In this state, individuals align themselves with the universal intelligence that underlies all creation, experiencing life as a seamless unfolding of the present moment. The collective awakening. Tolle concludes the chapter by addressing the broader implications of presence. He suggests that humanity is at a critical juncture, where the survival of the species depends on a collective awakening to presence. The dysfunction of the ego, which manifests as conflict, greed, and environmental destruction, can only be overcome through a shift in consciousness. By embodying presence, individuals contribute to this global transformation, creating a ripple effect that uplifts others. Chapter 5. The Inner Body. In Chapter 5 of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle introduces the concept of the inner body as a portal to presence and a means to deepen one's connection to the present moment. The inner body is not a physical structure but the subtle energy field that underlies and animates the physical form. By turning attention inward and feeling this inner energy, individuals can transcend identification with the mind and access a state of pure being. Tolle explains how cultivating awareness of the inner body leads to profound spiritual awakening, greater peace, and enhanced well-being. The inner body as a gateway to presence. Tolle begins by describing the inner body as a direct link to the timeless dimension of presence. While the physical body exists in the realm of form and is subject to aging, illness, and death, the inner body is eternal and indestructible. It connects individuals to the formless essence of life itself. By shifting awareness away from the mind and toward the inner body, individuals can break free from the ego's grip and anchor themselves in the now. Feeling the inner body. Tolle emphasizes that experiencing the inner body requires a shift in attention from thinking to feeling. He provides practical guidance for tuning into this subtle energy. Initial awareness. Start by focusing on specific parts of the body, such as the hands, feet, or chest. Notice the sensations of aliveness or subtle vibration in these areas. Expanding awareness. Gradually expand this sense of awareness to include the entire body, creating a holistic perception of the inner energy field. Sustained presence. Maintain awareness of the inner body throughout daily activities, using it as an anchor to the present moment. This practice not only deepens presence but also creates a sense of spaciousness and detachment from thoughts and emotions. The role of the inner body in health. Tolle discusses the profound impact of inner body awareness on physical and emotional health. When attention is directed inward, it revitalizes the body by increasing the flow of life energy. This enhanced energy flow supports the body's natural ability to heal and maintain balance. Conversely, disconnection from the inner body can lead to stress, illness, and a weakened immune system. Tolle encourages readers to make inner body awareness a regular practice, especially during moments of stress or conflict. Dissolving the pain body through inner body awareness. The chapter revisits the concept of the pain body, accumulated emotional pain stored in the body, and explains how inner body awareness can dissolve it. When individuals focus on the inner body, they bring the light of consciousness to areas where emotional pain is stored. This conscious presence prevents the pain body from feeding on negative emotions and gradually dissolves its energy. Tolle warns against resisting or suppressing emotional pain, as this only strengthens it. Instead, he advocates for allowing pain to exist while remaining fully present with it. Inner body awareness and the ego. Tolle explains that the ego thrives on identification with the mind and external forms. Awareness of the inner body disrupts this identification by shifting attention inward, where the ego cannot operate. As individuals cultivate inner body awareness, they experience a growing sense of detachment from the ego's narratives. This detachment weakens the ego's influence and allows the true self to emerge. The inner body and spiritual realization. The practice of feeling the inner body leads to profound spiritual realization. Tolle describes the inner body as a bridge between the physical and the formless. By becoming deeply rooted in the inner body, individuals connect with the unmanifested, the source of all life. This connection brings a sense of peace and fulfillment that is not dependent on external circumstances. It also fosters a deeper appreciation for the interconnectedness of all life. Presence through the inner body in daily life. Tolle emphasizes that inner body awareness is not limited to meditation or introspection, it can be integrated into every aspect of life. By staying connected to the inner body while performing tasks, individuals bring a heightened sense of presence to their actions. This practice transforms ordinary activities into opportunities for spiritual growth and deepens the sense of joy and aliveness in everyday experiences. Practical exercises for inner body awareness. Tolle provides several practical exercises to help readers cultivate inner body awareness. Short moments of awareness. Take brief moments throughout the day to focus on the inner body, such as during pauses in conversation or while waiting. Mindful breathing. Combine awareness of the breath with a focus on the inner body to anchor presence. Physical movement. Use activities like walking or stretching as opportunities to feel the inner body in motion. Stress relief. When experiencing stress or tension, shift attention to the inner body to dissolve the energy of resistance. These exercises help readers establish a continuous connection to the inner body and deepen their experience of presence. The connection between the inner body and the universe. Tolle concludes the chapter by highlighting the universal significance of the inner body. He explains that the energy field of the inner body is not separate from the universe, it is part of the same universal consciousness that pervades all existence. By becoming aware of the inner body, individuals align themselves with this greater whole and experience a sense of unity with life. This realization dissolves the illusion of separation created by the ego and opens the door to profound spiritual awakening. Chapter 6. Portals into the Unmanifested. In Chapter 6, Portals into the Unmanifested, Eckhart Tolle delves into the profound concept of the unmanifested, the formless essence from which all life arises. The unmanifested is described as the eternal source, the silent presence underlying all forms of existence, and the true nature of being. Tolle explains how individuals can access this state through specific portals and experience the transformative power of the unmanifested in their lives. This chapter offers both a philosophical framework and practical methods for spiritual realization. Understanding the unmanifested. Tolle begins by defining the unmanifested as the dimension of pure being beyond the world of form. It is timeless, spaceless, and free from the constraints of the physical and mental realms. While the manifest world consists of temporary forms and phenomena, the unmanifested is eternal and formless. Accessing the unmanifested allows individuals to connect with their true essence and experience profound peace and liberation from the mind. The manifest and the unmanifested. Tolle describes the relationship between the manifest, the physical, observable world, and the unmanifested as one of interdependence. All forms arise from the unmanifested and eventually return to it. This cycle of creation and dissolution mirrors the rhythm of life itself. Recognizing this truth dissolves fear of death and attachment to form, as individuals come to see that their essence is eternal and indestructible. Portals to the unmanifested. Tolle introduces the concept of portals as pathways to the unmanifested. These portals are accessible to anyone willing to quiet the mind and enter a state of presence. Each portal represents a unique approach to transcending form and experiencing the formless. The key portals discussed include silence and stillness. Silence and stillness are powerful gateways to the unmanifested. When individuals embrace moments of quiet and stillness, they create space for presence to emerge. Tolle explains that silence is not merely the absence of sound, it is the presence of peace and awareness. Similarly, stillness refers to the absence of mental noise and activity. By immersing themselves in silence and stillness, individuals become attuned to the timeless dimension of the unmanifested. The inner body. Building on concepts from Chapter 5, Tolle emphasizes that awareness of the inner body is another portal to the unmanifested. Feeling the inner body connects individuals to the life energy that pervades their being. This energy is not confined to the physical body but extends into the formless essence of the unmanifested. Through sustained awareness of the inner body, individuals transcend identification with the mind and align with the eternal now. The cessation of thinking. Tolle explains that the cessation of thought provides a direct route to the unmanifested. While thoughts dominate the mind, they obscure the underlying stillness of being. By observing the mind and allowing thoughts to subside, individuals can access the space between thoughts. This gap is a portal into the formless, where the eternal presence of the unmanifested resides. Surrender. Surrender involves complete acceptance of the present moment, regardless of its circumstances. Tolle emphasizes that resistance to what is creates inner conflict and disconnects individuals from the unmanifested. By surrendering to life as it unfolds, individuals open themselves to the flow of universal intelligence and experience the peace of the formless. Death and loss. Tolle discusses how experiences of death and loss can serve as portals to the unmanifested. The dissolution of form, whether through the death of a loved one or the loss of something valued, forces individuals to confront the impermanence of the manifest world. In this confrontation lies an opportunity to recognize the eternal nature of the unmanifested. The experience of the unmanifested. Tolle describes the experience of the unmanifested as one of profound peace and aliveness. When individuals access this dimension, they transcend the limitations of the mind and ego, connecting with the infinite source of life. This state is not one of emptiness or void but of fullness and vitality. It is marked by a deep sense of inner stillness, freedom, and connection to the whole of existence. Practical applications. Tolle offers practical guidance for accessing the unmanifested in daily life. Creating space for presence, dedicate moments each day to silence, stillness, or inner body awareness. Observing the breath, use the breath as an anchor to the present moment and a bridge to the unmanifested. Releasing attachments, let go of identification with external forms and embrace the impermanence of life. Accepting what is, practice unconditional acceptance of the now, allowing presence to dissolve resistance. These practices help individuals integrate the experience of the unmanifested into their everyday lives, fostering a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. The power of the unmanifested. Tolle concludes the chapter by emphasizing the transformative power of the unmanifested. Living in connection with this dimension enables individuals to transcend fear, ego, and suffering. It also fosters a greater sense of compassion and unity, as they recognize the shared essence of all life. Ultimately, the unmanifested is not separate from the manifest world but underlies and sustains it. By accessing the unmanifested, individuals live more fully and authentically in the world of form. Chapter 7. Enlightened Relationships. In Chapter 7, Enlightened Relationships, Eckhart Tolle explores the transformative potential of relationships as spiritual practices. He explains that most relationships, especially romantic ones, are deeply rooted in egoic patterns, attachment, and unconscious behaviors that lead to pain and conflict. However, when approached with presence and awareness, relationships can become a pathway to spiritual growth and enlightenment. This chapter focuses on recognizing ego-driven dynamics, cultivating presence within relationships, and fostering deeper, more harmonious connections. The ego and relationships. Tolle begins by examining the ways the ego manifests in relationships. The ego seeks validation and identity through external forms, including other people. This creates relationships based on neediness, control, and dependency rather than genuine love and connection. The ego's fear of loss and desire for possession often result in cycles of attachment, jealousy, and resentment. Tolle highlights that many relationships oscillate between moments of pleasure and love and periods of pain and conflict, which he calls the love-hate dynamic. This dynamic arises because individuals often use relationships to fill an inner void caused by disconnection from their true essence. Instead of addressing this void through presence, they attempt to find fulfillment in another person. Over time, unmet expectations and the other person's inability to complete them lead to frustration and conflict. Addiction to relationships. Tolle explains that many people become addicted to relationships, mistaking attachment for love. This addiction stems from the ego's desire to possess and control others to avoid facing its own fears and insecurities. When the initial high of romantic love fades, the ego reacts with disappointment and blame, perpetuating cycles of pain. Tolle emphasizes that true love is not about needing someone to make you whole, it is about recognizing the wholeness that already exists within and sharing that fullness with another. Relationships as a mirror. Tolle describes relationships as powerful mirrors that reflect one's inner state. They bring unconscious patterns, unresolved pain, and suppressed emotions to the surface, offering an opportunity for healing and growth. By observing these patterns without judgment, individuals can become more aware of their own egoic tendencies. This self-awareness is the first step toward transforming relationships into vehicles for spiritual awakening. The role of the pain body in relationships. Tolle revisits the concept of the pain body, accumulated emotional pain stored within, and its impact on relationships. When two people with active pain bodies come together, their interactions often trigger reactivity in conflict. The pain body thrives on negative emotions and uses relationships as a means to perpetuate its suffering. Tolle explains that becoming aware of the pain body and observing it without feeding into its energy is essential for breaking free from its grip. Enlightened relationships and presence. An enlightened relationship, according to Tolle, is one that is grounded in presence rather than ego. In such relationships, both partners take responsibility for their inner state and approach interactions with awareness and non-judgment. Presence dissolves the egoic patterns that create conflict and fosters a deeper connection based on love, acceptance, and shared being. Tolle emphasizes that enlightened relationships are not free of challenges. Instead, they provide opportunities for growth by bringing unconscious patterns to light. The key to navigating these challenges is to remain present and fully accept the other person without trying to change or control them. Practical steps to cultivate enlightened relationships. Tolle offers several practical steps to transform relationships through presence. Be present with yourself, cultivate self-awareness and inner stillness before seeking fulfillment in another person. The more grounded you are in presence, the less likely you are to project unmet needs onto your partner. Observe your ego. Notice when the ego arises in the form of blame, defensiveness, or neediness. Observe these tendencies without judgment, allowing awareness to dissolve them. Create space for presence. During interactions, consciously create moments of silence and stillness. These pauses allow presence to emerge and prevent reactive patterns. Accept the other as they are, let go of the desire to change or fix your partner. Genuine love arises from full acceptance and recognition of their essence. Address the pain body with awareness. When conflicts arise, recognize the influence of the pain body and refrain from feeding into its energy. Instead, bring conscious presence to the situation. The balance between solitude and togetherness. Tolle explains that enlightened relationships balance solitude and togetherness. While connection is essential, it is equally important to maintain a strong sense of individuality and inner peace. Spending time alone in presence allows individuals to recharge and remain centered, preventing dependency and overattachment. Love beyond the ego. True love, according to Tolle, is not a feeling or emotion but a state of being. It is the recognition of the divine essence in another person, free from egoic conditions or expectations. This love arises naturally when individuals are rooted in presence and connected to their true selves. In enlightened relationships, love becomes a shared expression of the oneness that underlies all life. The ripple effect of enlightened relationships. Tolle concludes the chapter by emphasizing the broader significance of enlightened relationships. When individuals bring presence into their relationships, they contribute to a collective shift in consciousness. These relationships become beacons of light, inspiring others to awaken and transform their own interactions. Ultimately, enlightened relationships are not only a source of personal fulfillment but also a means of fostering greater harmony in the world. Chapter 8. Beyond happiness and unhappiness there is peace. In Chapter 8, Eckhart Tolle delves into the idea that true peace and fulfillment exist beyond the duality of happiness and unhappiness. He argues that the pursuit of happiness as a goal often leads to disillusionment because it is inherently tied to external circumstances and subject to change. Instead, Tolle introduces a state of inner peace that transcends emotional fluctuations and arises from presence and alignment with the now. This chapter emphasizes the importance of detaching from ego-driven patterns, embracing acceptance, and finding a deeper, unshakable contentment within. The limitations of happiness. Tolle begins by highlighting that most people equate happiness with external achievements, relationships, or life conditions. This kind of happiness is fleeting because it depends on external factors that are impermanent. Even when one achieves happiness, it is often accompanied by an underlying fear of loss or change. Conversely, unhappiness arises when life situations fail to meet expectations or when one experiences setbacks. This cycle of seeking happiness and avoiding unhappiness keeps individuals trapped in the realm of duality, oscillating between highs and lows without ever finding lasting peace. The ego and emotional fluctuations. The ego plays a central role in perpetuating this cycle. It thrives on attachment to external forms and defines identity through comparisons and judgments. The ego constantly seeks gratification and resists what it perceives as undesirable. However, this resistance creates inner conflict and deepens the experience of unhappiness. Tolle explains that the ego's tendency to identify with emotions, whether positive or negative, keeps individuals disconnected from their true essence. True peace lies beyond duality. Tolle introduces the idea that true peace is found in the timeless dimension of presence, which exists beyond the polarities of happiness and unhappiness. This peace is not dependent on life circumstances and cannot be disturbed by external events. It arises from a deep connection to the now and a recognition of the formless essence that underlies all forms. When individuals align with this deeper state of being, they experience a sense of equanimity and inner stability that transcends emotional highs and lows. Acceptance as the path to peace. One of the central teachings of this chapter is the power of acceptance. Tolle emphasizes that resistance to the present moment is the primary cause of suffering. When individuals resist what is, they create inner turmoil and intensify feelings of unhappiness. By contrast, accepting the present moment unconditionally allows individuals to dissolve resistance and access the peace of the now. Acceptance does not mean passivity or resignation, rather, it is an active choice to align with reality and respond to life's challenges from a place of clarity and presence. Dissolving identification with the mind. Tolle explains that achieving peace requires dissolving identification with the mind and its incessant chatter. The mind often labels experiences as good or bad, creating a narrative that perpetuates emotional reactivity. By observing thoughts and emotions without attaching to them, individuals can break free from this cycle and reconnect with their true essence. This process involves cultivating awareness and practicing mindfulness in everyday life. The state of inner stillness. Inner stillness is presented as a key to accessing peace. Tolle describes stillness as the space between thoughts, where presence resides. This stillness is not an absence of activity but a state of heightened awareness and connection to the now. By embracing stillness, individuals can detach from the ego's need for constant stimulation and find a deeper sense of fulfillment. Transcending the need for external validation. Tolle discusses the importance of transcending the need for external validation or approval. The ego often seeks recognition and affirmation from others as a source of self-worth. However, this dependency creates vulnerability to criticism and rejection, leading to emotional instability. When individuals find peace within themselves, they no longer rely on external validation and can approach relationships and interactions with greater authenticity and freedom. The role of gratitude and presence. Gratitude is highlighted as a powerful practice for cultivating inner peace. By focusing on the present moment and appreciating the gifts of life as they are, individuals shift their attention away from what is lacking or desired. This shift in perspective fosters a sense of abundance and contentment. Tolle encourages readers to approach each moment with gratitude and mindfulness, recognizing the sacredness of the now. Living beyond the emotional drama. Tolle explains that living beyond happiness and unhappiness involves stepping out of the emotional drama created by the ego. This does not mean suppressing emotions or avoiding life's challenges but rather approaching them with presence and acceptance. When individuals stop identifying with their emotions, they can observe them without being consumed by them. This detachment allows for a more balanced and peaceful approach to life. Practical exercises for accessing peace. Tolle provides practical exercises for accessing the peace that lies beyond duality. Mindful breathing, focus on the breath as a way to anchor attention in the present moment. Body awareness, bring awareness to the inner body and feel the aliveness within. Observation of thoughts, watch the mind without judgment and recognize that you are not your thoughts. Gratitude practice, reflect on the aspects of life for which you are grateful, fostering a sense of appreciation and presence. Surrender to what is. In moments of difficulty, practice accepting the present moment without resistance or judgment. The ripple effect of inner peace. Tolle concludes by emphasizing the broader implications of accessing peace beyond duality. When individuals embody this state, they radiate a calm and grounded energy that influences those around them. This inner peace contributes to a collective shift in consciousness, creating a ripple effect that fosters greater harmony in the world. By transcending the egoic patterns that perpetuate conflict and suffering, individuals play a vital role in transforming humanity's relationship with life. Chapter 9. The Meaning of Surrender. In Chapter 9, The Meaning of Surrender, Eckhart Tolle addresses the profound concept of surrender and its pivotal role in spiritual awakening. Surrender, as defined by Tolle, is not a passive submission to external circumstances but an active acceptance of the present moment as it is. The chapter explores the difference between the ego-driven notion of resistance and the transformative power of surrender, which leads to peace, freedom, and deeper alignment with the present moment. The ego and resistance. Tolle begins by explaining that the ego is rooted in resistance to the present moment. It seeks control over life, constantly judging, categorizing, and labeling experiences based on personal preferences, desires, and fears. This resistance is the source of much of human suffering, as it keeps individuals trapped in the past or future, unable to embrace the now. The ego identifies itself through attachment to thoughts, emotions, and material circumstances, creating a sense of separation from others and the world. This identification fosters an inner conflict that arises whenever external circumstances do not conform to the ego's desires. Surrender as acceptance. Contrary to popular perceptions of surrender as weakness or submission, Tolle presents surrender as a powerful act of consciousness. Surrender involves fully accepting the present moment without judgment, resistance, or the desire for things to be different. It is the recognition that the present is as it is, regardless of whether one likes it or not. This acceptance does not mean passivity or inaction, it simply means releasing mental and emotional resistance. Through surrender, individuals align with life as it is, without the need for control or manipulation. This alignment with the now brings peace and freedom from the ego's incessant demands. The illusion of control. One of the key aspects of surrender is recognizing the illusion of control. The ego thrives on the belief that it can control external circumstances, other people, and its own internal state. However, Tolle emphasizes that true control is an illusion. There are countless factors outside of one's ability to influence. Surrendering to the fact that control is limited opens individuals to the possibility of living in harmony with the flow of life. In this flow, they trust that life, in its infinite wisdom, unfolds as it should. This trust in life is an essential aspect of surrender and leads to greater peace and contentment. Surrender in the face of suffering. Tolle further explains that surrender is particularly important in moments of suffering. Suffering arises when individuals resist what is happening in the present moment, when they wish things were different, more comfortable, or more predictable. The act of surrender, however, does not mean submitting to suffering, but rather embracing it fully as part of the present experience. Through surrender, individuals cease to identify with the pain or the situation causing distress, recognizing that their true essence is beyond suffering. This shift in perspective allows for a transformation of suffering into a source of spiritual growth. When individuals stop resisting their pain, they often find that the intensity of their suffering diminishes, and they can experience the deeper peace that exists beneath the pain. Surrender and the mind. A central theme in the chapter is the relationship between the mind and surrender. The mind often resists surrender because it thrives on control, patterns, and predictability. It constantly seeks to analyze, interpret, and judge. To surrender, the mind must quiet its incessant activity and allow for a state of presence. Tolle explains that surrendering to the present moment means quieting the mind and allowing oneself to experience life without the interference of judgmental thoughts or emotional reactivity. When the mind releases its grip on the need to control or analyze, individuals can experience the peace and stillness of the present. The spiritual dimension of surrender. Tolle describes surrender as a deeply spiritual practice. When individuals surrender, they align with the energy of the universe, the greater intelligence that governs all life. This spiritual alignment connects them with their higher selves and with the universal consciousness that transcends the ego. Surrender is thus not a giving up, but a letting go of the limited egoic self and an opening to the vast, boundless presence of life. In this state, individuals no longer experience life as a series of isolated events that happen to them, but as part of an interconnected whole. Through surrender, they come to realize that they are one with life, not separate from it. Surrender in relationships. Tolle extends the concept of surrender to relationships, which are often fraught with expectations, judgments, and control. In relationships, the ego often attempts to dominate, possess, or change the other person in order to fulfill its own needs. This dynamic leads to conflict, as the other person may resist these attempts. Tolle suggests that the key to harmonious relationships is to surrender the need to control and to accept others as they are. By surrendering expectations and judgments, individuals can approach relationships with love, acceptance, and presence. In this space of surrender, relationships become vehicles for spiritual growth, where both partners learn to transcend their egos and experience deeper connection. Surrender and the body. Tolle also discusses the role of the body in surrender. He encourages readers to practice being present with their bodies, as this is a direct way to access the state of surrender. The body is always in the present moment, and by bringing awareness to bodily sensations, individuals can transcend the mind and enter a state of deep presence. The body also acts as a vehicle for spiritual energy, and surrendering to its sensations and rhythms helps to dissolve the boundaries created by the ego. Through this practice, individuals can experience the flow of life more fully and connect with the formless dimension of their being. Surrender as the end of the ego. The ultimate outcome of surrender is the dissolution of the ego. The ego is built on resistance and control, and as individuals surrender, they cease to identify with the egoic patterns that have defined their sense of self. Tolle explains that true freedom and peace are found when the ego no longer dominates one's consciousness. Surrendering the ego allows individuals to access a higher state of awareness, where they can experience the fullness of the present moment without the limitations of the past or future. In this state, individuals realize their true nature as pure consciousness, free from the constraints of the ego. The flow of life and surrender. The final message of the chapter is that surrender allows individuals to live in harmony with the natural flow of life. Life itself is constantly changing, and by surrendering to this flux, individuals can stop fighting against the inevitable ups and downs of existence. Instead of resisting, they embrace life's unfolding with trust and openness. This trust in life brings about an immense sense of peace, as individuals let go of the need to control or predict the future. Through surrender, they experience life as a beautiful and sacred flow, one that is always present and always unfolding in its perfect way. This concludes our book. Thank you for joining Mindful Audio on this journey of growth and inspiration. Through timeless audiobooks, we aim to empower your mind, spark reflection, and fuel meaningful change in your life. Keep learning, stay inspired, and remember, greatness begins within. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support this journey. This is Mindful Audio, your path to motivation and mindfulness.